Alright everyone, Neil from Neil Collins Recording. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Insta 360 Go 2. Good people at Insta 360 have sent me this to review, so that's what I'm going to do. Hang around till later in the video. If you decide to buy it, you're also going to bag yourself 2 exclusive free gifts that you only get via the link below, so can't say fairer than that. So first things first, I love where they're going with this. It's tiny. Obviously when I'm shooting vlogs, shooting weddings, I'll be using my DSLR, professional lenses, all that good stuff. But there's definitely a place in this world for action cams, more and more I would say, especially with social media. That ain't going anywhere. Getting videos out and about and sharing it straight away is where we are and where we are headed. And action cams are perfect for this medium. Now obviously GoPros have been around a while now, great cameras, but with this I think we do have something a little bit different just because of the form factor. Now GoPros aren't huge, but they're not really very discreet if you attach them to yourself. You've either got to have a chest strap, massive camera on your head, but it's not very discreet. Now this is smaller and I think it's much more accessible to everyone. Some people don't really want people to know that they're filming or doing a vlog. With this, you can easily put it on your chest, inconspicuous, no one will even know that you've done it, and you can do your vlogs out and about in town without anyone really knowing what you're doing. As well as that, you've obviously got the standard use of an action cam. Use this when you're out surfing, it's waterproof. Don't go in the water with this, just go in the water with this. Make sure the lens cap is on properly. Surfing vids, no problemo. Bike, one wheel, skateboarding, all of that stuff you can do with this as well. So it's got flow state stabilization, which the Insta 360 Go had, and it's pretty awesome. You actually apply it in post. You can take it off after you've filmed it, but I don't know why you would want to do that. So the camera itself has got an f2.2 aperture, ISO 100 to 3200. It's got a time-lapse mode, a time shift mode, which is like hyperlapse, so you can adjust the timing in post. Resolution wise, 2560 by 1440 at 50 frames per second and 30 frames per second, so not quite 4K. Better than 1080p, somewhere in between. Still good enough for social media, it's not really a deal breaker. 4K file editing on phones is still not really happening for me, so I would probably only shoot in 1080p anyway. But you can shoot up to 2560 1440 in 30 frames per second and 50 frames per second. So if you want to slow it down a little bit, film in 50 frames per second. It's also got an HDR mode which shoots at 2560 1440 as well, but only in 24 and 25 frames per second. So you can't really shoot slow-mo in the HDR mode. It's also got an actual slow motion mode, which is 120 frames per second at 1080p. Full HD, which is perfect for social media, I would say. 120 frames per second, 1080p. Boom, done. How cool is that? So really nice packaging. So yeah, the thing about this is a lot of the way it mounts itself is via this magnet, which is why it's really easy to mount it everywhere. So that's how the magnet works. Okay, so that's what we get in the box, okay? So it's a really nice little box, a bit like the old iPod packaging. It's pretty smart, I like it. Slick. Slick is the word. So this is the magnetic pendant that you get, okay? So you put that under your shirt, like so. I mean, that magnet's pretty strong. I guess if you're mountain biking and stuff, yeah, it does say you don't use it if you're like doing mad stuff. I don't think they're the exact words they use, but okay. So you also get a few little mounts in here. So this is what you would use to mount to your cap or your hat. of something similar. Okay, so it's just got this little clips onto your cap. So yeah, you can attach it to your head. Much less cumbersome than that thing that you have to put on for a GoPro. This just attaches to the peak of your cap, nice and indiscreet, like it. You also get this other little mount. So on the back of it, you've got this really sticky pad, and this will stick to most things. And then you just give it a wipe off with some water afterwards, and then pop it back in the case, and you can reuse it. So that's quite handy if you're out and about doing a vlog, you need to stick your camera somewhere. So this is what you would use if you're just holding it. So this is the camera itself, but really you can. So this is the little charging point for the camera. This magnet is feels really, you know, you don't feel like it's going to fall out at all. Like, that's solid in there. And then you press a button and it just connects to the actual camera. So this acts as a little remote for the camera. So this is where you change all your settings. Could do with changing the language because I can't speak Chinese. And then by just using this button, you just page through the modes. And you've got the little record button here, and you've also got the record button on the actual camera itself. So if you just want to do some vlogs or stuff like that, it's got these little legs on it, and film yourself that way. And that way you're constantly charging the camera. So this is actually a charging case for your camera as well. So I'll be honest, the legs on this are okay, but if it gets knocked, it's just gonna knock it straight over. A sturdy tripod, it is not, but it's good enough for vlogging at home or somewhere where there's a flat surface. But it has also got a little screw port at the bottom that you can screw into an actual tripod. So, you know, if you want more sturdiness with it or to attach it to something else, you can find this. And that's how you carry around in your pocket, a bit like your old earpods or whatever. Pop them in there and it will charge it up. So you get 30-minute battery charge on the actual camera itself and 150 minutes on the charger case. So as soon as your camera's out of battery, pop it in here, charge it. It takes 35 minutes to get a full charge, and then you can use it again. In terms of memory on this thing, it's all internal. So you don't actually put a memory card in it, it's internal. It's about 32 gig. And on Pro mode, which is what you'll want to be shooting in, which is where you turn on all the stabilization and everything, you're going to get about 30 minutes for 32 gig, roughly. That's not scientific, but roughly. Then you'll have to offload all the files so you can clear it and start again. Okay, so you can operate the actual camera in 3 different ways. You can use the charger, stroke remote, just press the right hand button and it will connect it to the camera itself, and then you can hit record to start the camera recording. So that's one way of doing it. You can also use the Insta 360 app. So you have to have the camera in the charger, stroke remote, to connect to the app. Then you connect the camera to the app, and then you can control the camera via the app, and then you can just take the camera out of the charger and just use that via the app itself. Or you can not use the app or the charger and just use the camera on its own and just press the big record button on the front to start recording, and it will vibrate, so you'll know it's recording, and then when you press it again it will vibrate again. You know, it's stop recording. Okay, so they're the 3 ways that you can operate the camera. I am going to be doing another video where I do a complete walkthrough of the remote and the Insta 360 app and how you can use those to operate the camera, and that will appear here when I've made it. Now you can actually switch off the auto ISO mode and you can manually control the ISO and shutter speed, which is a really nice feature to have. So you don't have to have it on auto. Now you will want to use it on auto a lot of the time because it will do everything for you. But if you know what ISO you want to be shooting at, you can manually do it yourself. So you can manually choose your ISO. Not only that, you can get ND filters for the camera. If you're shooting in bright sunlight but you want to keep the ISO down, then you can get these neat little ND filters. These ones are from Freewell. They go from ND8 up to 64, so quite hefty ND filters. And all you do is you just undo your little lens cover and screw your ND filter on. Okay, so that's really cool. So then you can keep your ISO down, shoot in bright sunlight, and get the best possible image. There's also 3 different color profiles. So there's standard, vivid, and log. You can shoot in log, and then you've got a really unsaturated image that you can then adjust afterwards in the app, or you can download it onto your editing software and color correct it in there. So that's neat. All right, Neil, so how much is the Insta360 Go 2, I hear you ask? It's retailing in the US around $299, in the UK around £285, I believe. So you're getting a better deal in the US, as you usually do with these sort of things. But as I said earlier, if you use the link in the description below, then you will get yourselves 2 free gifts. First thing you're going to get yourself is this mount adapter bundle, okay? This mount adapter bundle gives you other adapters. There's some brackets in there, there's some sticky mounts, all sorts. So you get yourself this free of charge. Bosh. You also get yourselves 2 lens covers free of charge. So don't worry about scratching your lens. Well, do worry about scratching your lens, but don't worry too much. You're going to get 2 free lens covers, and that's exclusive to this review. So please do use the link below, and you're going to get yourself loads of free goodies. So am I going to be getting rid of my GoPro? I tell you what, I loved using this. I loved the ease of the magnet. It felt really unobtrusive. You know, GoPros are small, but you do feel a bit of an idiot walking around with them sometimes. People know what they are, and they know when you've got one stuck to you, even if it's quite discreet. I don't think people do know what these are. I don't think most of the time anyone even noticed that it was stuck to my chest because they're so small. And I think you can get better footage that way because people are just being themselves. They're not aware that there's a camera around. So you can do vlogs in the middle of town, and I don't think anyone would even notice that you're doing them. And the audio isn't that bad on it either. I think because it's by your chest a lot of the time, I think it picks up a lot of the natural resonances. Now, it hasn't got a windshield, so if you're doing it in the wind, it's going to be all over the place. But if you're not in the wind, then I think you can get fairly decent audio out of this, definitely usable. So that really surprised me, actually. I love the way it's got this little house, its charger that you can just carry around with. I mean, you know, you just whack that in your pocket. I took it out with me today around town. It's just a really nice setup, and it's really easy to link to the app. I had no issues with that at all. Usually with apps on Wi-Fi, it's always a little bit but this just connected every time. Real-time image on the screen. It just all seems very seamless. I think they spent a lot of time on the user experience with this. You know, GoPros, sometimes you press the buttons, they don't work straight away. None of those issues here. All the buttons work as they should. Now, the big button is quite easy to just press on and off accidentally, but it's not really the end of the world. And you do get a vibration to know that it's started, so it's not as if you're going to start it and not know that it's been started, because the vibrations are quite intense. You know when you've turned it on. Love the way you can use the charger as a remote if you don't want to use the app. All the settings that you got in the app you can do via the remote. You can switch the auto mode off, so you have control over the ISO. I like that. I don't really want the camera deciding what the ISO should be, so being able to decide all that yourself is great. And having a log profile that you can colour correct afterwards, again, those sort of things are really quite unique, I think, in terms of action cameras. I just think the user experience with this is different to the GoPro. I can see this getting used by vloggers or just your everyday person on the street who wants to record and upload video straight to their social media. You can do all that via the app. You can either download the video files or you can upload it straight to your social media via the app. There's some nice editing features within the app. Again, I'm going to be going into that in more depth in another video. So I guess the biggest negative is the lack of 4K. But does that really matter with what this camera is designed to do? I would say no, not really. I think 1080p is probably still enough for this sort of camera in terms of resolution. 90% of the time you're going to be watching footage from this on an iPad or iPhone or smartphone. And even if you're watching it on a desktop, full HD, still tickety-boo in my book. 4K files are huge and often not necessary. So at the moment, I don't think that's too much of an issue. It's 1440 anyway. It's got that little bit extra, than 1080p. It's still cheaper than a GoPro, but like I say, I think it's a totally different user experience, and that's why I will be using this instead of my GoPro for the foreseeable. I just really enjoyed the whole user experience with this. Anyway, that's it for this video. I really hope you've enjoyed it and found it useful. And go and grab yourself one using the link below and you'll get your 2 free gifts. Now that's for a limited time only, so do head on over as quick as you can. If you have enjoyed it, please do give it a thumbs up. Shoots me up the old YouTube algorithm. Leave me a comment. Do all of that because it really helps me and my channel and I really appreciate it. So that's why you should do it. Thanks to Insta360 for sending me this to review. Yeah, that's it for this one. Catch you in the next one.